And there's something that's very specific to me. So that serverless example was actually not not random. It was something I actually did in 2016. I was a cloud engineer. I learned AWS, and they had this new framework called serverless, and I got serverless. It's like, okay, instead of managing your own servers, just deploy code and let it run. Sounds fantastic. No one I knew really gave a damn about it. Even people who were in cloud, even people who did this for a living, they didn't seem to care. So I'm like, okay, well, I just got an Echo. I'm going, and they just opened up their skill stores. I'm going to go and learn how to build apps there. And I basically built apps. I went and I tinkered around. I mean, I did some awful apps to begin with. I think I did the price of Dogecoin for one, for one of them, and then for a few others, when I got a little bit more competent, I started doing like Powerball numbers, to do that, and then other little apps to go through. And what I eventually did is like I capstoned it. I put it on my website. I put it on my LinkedIn. I said that I did this. I promoted it, and no one seemed to give a damn. It's like, okay, fine, no one cares. But I learned a little bit of Lambda. I learned how to do serverless applications. I learned more about AWS. So that started to be used in my job. I found new opportunities to use AWS. I used Lambda in my job, but nothing really breakthrough. Later that year, I was looking for a new job, and I just happened to put out that I knew Lambda, and I knew it well enough. I've been using it for a year, and I went through and did that. And then all of a sudden, somebody in New York found my resume. I was at a consulting firm, and they saw that I had this background, and they went and thought, hey, you have a really interesting background because of Lambda. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah, we could use you. So I went, okay, fine. I did the technical interview, and it was like I was assuming, okay, clearly I'm not going to have the background interesting. I just use this for apps. No way I'm interesting. It was one of the easiest technical interviews I've ever had in my life. It was like, what does Lambda, what languages are used in Lambda? It's like, okay, Java, C++, Python, or whatever it was at the time, and some things about timeouts. So we could tell I did that. And turns out they couldn't find anyone in the market who had it. I had a cloud engineering background. I had a BI background. And those things were good. They were prerequisites. But the addition of Lambda to my skill stack at that time, which I had no clue was useful, but it just happened to be on my resume, did that, made me interesting to this one guy. And that's how I ended up getting a job in New York. And it was one of the funnest years I've ever had.